I've always played Nintendo 64 games. Ever since I started playing games, I played the good ones by the consensus, like Banjo and Ocarina of Time, and I played the lesser played games like Gex and Glover. Some of my favorite games that weren't liked as much were on Nintendo 64. But the game that I've never played, despite being a big fan of the developer at the time, was Jet Force Gemini. Now, the only reason I knew about this game was because if you play Banjo-Tooie, everybody knows, if you go in Specky's room, there's a poster on the wall of it. Besides that, I've had little to no exposure of this game. And I thought, hey, might as well give it a chance now. Come on, you know? So I went down to the secondhand store and got it for what I thought was a pretty alright price. That said, I'd like to play this game with a clear viewpoint and judge it from the ground up. Let's get started, fellow gamers. So just one more thing before we get started, I just want to make this clear to everyone. When I started this, I checked the big YouTubers. I made sure that no one was in the process of reviewing or had reviewed this, at least recently. Until recently, I noticed a tweet, right here. I'm gonna put it right there. I just wanted to let everyone know that I decided before I saw that tweet to review this game, and I have not watched his videos or any videos on reviewing this game, just to get my own opinion, my complete opinion. And I just want to let you know that it's not a competition. I'm not competing with this guy here. He's a good guy. You should watch his videos. Nitro Red. He's one kind of a little bit of inspiration to me. I haven't had any influence from any other videos or anything, and I can't prove that I haven't watched his video. I can't prove that, but I can prove that I started before at least before he publicly announced it, with these two things right here, right there, two tweets right there. And like I said, he makes great videos, and after this video is up, which it is because you're watching it, I'm gonna go check out his videos and see the different experiences and similarities too. So if he's watching this right now, thank you. Good inspiration, but I don't want you thinking that I took your idea, or I don't want you to think that I'm making it a competition either. I'm supporting. I'm probably not gonna watch this anyway, so whatever. I'm done. All right. Let's actually get started. I started this game pretty excitedly. I haven't played a classic Rare game in a while, so it was pretty nice to get that iconic logo back on the screen. Of course, when I start any game, I'm going to take a look at the options first. It looked like any other options menu in any other game. The volume bar design was kind of cool how it worked. Besides that, the first thing that caught my eye was the widescreen option. I decided to turn it off just because of the aspect ratio. I figured it'd be easier later on in editing. I'll get more in depth about the expert mode and normal mode controls when we start playing, so keep it in mind. Then you got your 2-player horizontal or vertical split, nothing unusual here. Then for the cheats, so you unlock them later on, so we're gonna have to come back to that. You start with 0, so I have nothing to show right now. In retrospect, I probably should have kept it widescreen, but it's kind of too late now. Whoops, whatever. As I started the game, the previous owner had all the files full, so I had to delete the one with the lowest progress, I guess. So, I just typed in my normal gamer tag. You know me. So you have this opening cutscene of the spaceship flying through space with the boy, girl, and dog. Juno, Vela, and Lupus. I guess that's how you pronounce them. So long story short, they get an alert that I guess they're under attack and these tribals are under attack. Let me just say these tribal guys look like the Mogwai from Gremlins, and these ants look like, probably no one's gonna remember this, but Avengers and Odyssey Escape the Matrix, that little episode, they look like those ants but different colors. While I'm at it, Juno on the cover of the cartridge looks like a Dark Crystal character, I don't know. So anyway, as they're trying to escape the ship, the ants come up and they shoot at Juno. So they get separated, and Vela has to take the escape pod while Lupus takes a separate one. After all that, Juno kills the remaining ants, and then you finally get to take control again. It gives you a brief overview of what he looks like, and he's running on this treadmill for some reason. I don't know why, but then you also get to see inside his brain and whatnot. Dang, they have 3 escape pods? Where did they can afford 3 escape pods from? And second-hand dealership? So after all that, they all seem to land in separate places on the same planet. You start off as Juno, and that's sort of where the story stops for a little while, but let's get started on these controls. So before people start attacking me, no one's gonna attack me, no one watches my videos. Let me just say that I understand this is pretty much the console that was a precursor to Nintendo's 3D platforms, and games in general. So when I start talking about the controls, a few things I'm saying is just them getting an understanding of how 3D controls should work. So, but nevertheless, these statements about these controls still stand. So, just have to get that out there. A lot of disclaimers in this video. So of course we got to get back to the normal and expert control modes. In the expert mode, I felt like I would be missing out if I didn't choose it. So I'm just gonna be reviewing that. So yeah, it's C up to jump. That's a little odd, but you get used to it after a while. At first though, it kind of sucks because you're trying to look up and you'll be jumping a lot. Because you know, in most games, you press C up to look. But in this game, you press C up to go up. Now in the normal control mode, it changes it so that C up is to look up and A is to jump. But if you're gonna name an expert control mode, of course you're gonna have to want to play it that way. At least for the expert gamers. That was sort of the main discretion I had with the controls. Everything else feels pretty nice, at least as far as the button designation. Jumping upstairs is kind of annoying. You have to jump up the stairs. That's just a little thing. At least to me. I don't understand why they don't just make stairs that you can walk up. It's sort of like an allusion to platforming. But again, it's just a small thing. Sidestepping feels a little faster, kind of like Zelda. But that's just how some games are. Now onto a real topic. A very important one. It's aiming. This is a third-person shooter, so the controls for aiming should of course be executed well. My first thing to talk about with this is the auto lock-on system. Jet Force Gemini came out after GoldenEye, but the auto lock-on system is worse. You have to be pretty much point blank before it's actually effective. The only argument I can see for having an excuse of this is that GoldenEye is in first person, so when you're close, you really do seem closer. And third person, when you're close, it's harder to tell because the camera's further away. Now the obvious solution to this is using the strafe mode. You achieve this by holding down the R button. It made it easier to aim at them, but it was still really slidey, which results in you kind of going all over the place before you even get to them. Luckily, this little rectangle appears around them when you're on them, so as long as you have that rectangle on screen, you know when to shoot. The game became a lot easier after I mastered the strafing mode, and after a while it sort of just got easier in general. Took a lot of practice though, of course. That brings us to the movement of the character. The most annoying thing about this game with controls was not the aiming, was definitely how every flick of the control stick makes you slide like half a foot. Now half a foot doesn't seem like much, but when you're trying to land precisely, and then after you land, you slide a little bit, you might fall off and die. Most of the time they grab the ledge that they're falling off of. But sometimes it doesn't help, especially when you're getting shot at. Long story short, walking on beams is BS. So to focus on jumping, I want to start talking about this weird double jump thing. It seems to be in a lot of rare games that you can do this weird double jump thing. In Jet Force Gemini, there is no double jump. But if you walk off while in the air and jump right as you're falling, you jump midair. This happens in Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, Donkey Kong, just to name a few. Now the only thing that separates Jet Force Gemini from the other rare games with this double jump thing is, in the other rare games you have to attack while falling and then you can jump. But since the only attack in Jet Force Gemini is shooting, I suppose they made it so that you don't have to attack to do the double jump. I don't know if it's sort of like a rare thing, but it happens frequently in a lot of their games. Anyway, moving on. While on the topic of jumping, sometimes the jump is a little delayed, especially when you're standing still. But while you're standing still, you do jump a little higher. The high jump made it easier to grab platforms that were right above me. So, with these elements in mind, while playing this game, the platforming became very hard and unforgiving. But as time went on, of course it becomes easier because you get better. and it doesn't take away from the gameplay. The thing I found myself doing a lot was circling enemies and shooting, and when I got frustrated I just throw a lot of bombs. Now this might just be me, I've never been good at first person or third person shooters, but the way the sniper functioned, it felt like it worked a lot better than just the strafing mode. Maybe if the strafing mode was just as good as the sniper mode, not functioning exactly the same way, but the fact that you would move and it would stay where it is without it sliding all over the place. Also, here's Lupus stuck getting burned, it's kind of funny. So now that we've kind of touched the controls, get that shit out of here. Let's get started on these guns, and the items, of course. And we'll also talk about the people and the enemies in the game. Just put all of that in one big category, I guess, Hands up. Let's get started. So, as being a third-person shooter, of course there's a lot of weapons, most of them being guns, of course. The first weapon you start off with is the pistol. This thing's a piece of shit. I mean, duh, I guess it's just the most basic weapon you can think of as far as shooter games. But what's crazy about this is it took me a while to figure out that you don't even need ammo for this. The rate of fire slows down drastically when you don't have any ammo though. And this gun overheats so fast, it's just bad. I mean, as expected, I guess, but it's so bad. Another basic weapon in most games is the machine gun. Jet Force Gemini is not an exception. I'd say this is probably one of my favorite weapons. You can just rail out all the enemies in front of you, but of course the ammo goes really fast. Luckily there are these things that increase your ammo supply, and they're all over the game for all weapons. But what's weird is only specific characters can pick up the ones that are designated for them. I guess in retrospect it's not that weird, because then if there's a set amount of them, you can't just have one character pick them all up. But it would be cool if one character could pick them up for other characters. Another common weapon in shooter games is the shotgun. The plasma shotgun is kind of unique, I guess. You charge it up and then you shoot it, and it does more damage based on how long you charge it, I suppose. It was kind of hard to tell because you only really get one shot, and like I said, the controls are really slidey. It's better to just have a multiple amount of shots shot at once instead of just one big shot. And then there were the grenades. I liked this one because when enemies were behind shelter, the grenade could still hit them because of the explosion. For this one there was the tri-rocket. It's pretty much what it sounds like. It just shoots 3 rockets all at once. I really liked this one as well because when an enemy became very difficult, especially the bigger ones, I would just shoot this, and it usually took care of them, maybe even like one hit. Ammo was kind of scarce for this one, but it came in very helpful when I really did need it, especially with big groups of enemies that are very hard to hit. I mean, look at this. How are you that accurate? He must have did his extra credit homework or something. I mean, jeez. In all seriousness though, I suppose it just counts how many enemies were killed in one shot. I don't know. What I found out about this game because of this weapon was a lot of the weapons that explode usually did the most effective damage, as per usual in a shooting game. Following up on the weapons that explode was the cluster bomb. Now, this one seemed like it would be good because of what I just said. Weapons with the most explosion were usually the most effective. But you start off with one cluster bomb and it would blow up everywhere, but one time doesn't really help. You've got to find a good balance with ammo and explosion. I mean, think about it. If you had a room full of enemies and you only had one shot to blow them all up at once, it's very unlikely that you will actually succeed with that. I'd rather have a few smaller explosions than one giant explosion. Another weapon that exploded was the mine, and this one I kind of just didn't really like. They usually would be more hindering than they would be helpful, because most of the time the enemies wouldn't follow me to where I put the mines. Now that might just be me being a bad player, but I still stand by this opinion, because the mines made you your own worst enemy too. You can still get hit by them or run when you're using the sniper. And if you aim at an enemy, then switch to another gun. Another one of my favorite weapons were the homing missiles. They would just follow the enemy usually wherever they went. At the end screen it would show your most accurate weapon and your favorite weapon. And that's pretty much where I stopped. There were a lot of reasons I did stop. Like I mentioned before, I noticed NitroRad, which is one of my favorite YouTubers, he started doing it. And that already was like a big competition within myself. Not with him, he's a good guy, like I said before, go watch his videos. He's the reason, like I said before, that I wanted to do this. But I knew if I did do it around the same time he did, then I would just look like I'm copying him, because I already mentioned him in the video, and he's a bigger YouTube guy that does video game reviews, and wouldn't it be suspicious if I did it right when he did it? And I already said with the Twitter thing, I was starting it before he did it. But there were a couple other reasons I stopped. To be honest, I'm not going to get too much into detail, but I got pretty depressed around that time, and I was pretty unmotivated with school and being around friends. A lot of my friends, they're just not easy to get a hold of, and it's not their fault and it's not my fault. It's just what happens. But I'm not here to vent. But I do want to talk about a couple other things. I do want to do a whole full review of a game. Maybe this time a game that will be less popular than even a lesser popular audience. You know, maybe even a shorter game with less things to touch on too. Because I had a let me grab it. Hold on. I had a whole thing that I was like 20 minutes into the video, I think. I don't know, but this is still stuff I wanted to go over. This is a bunch of stuff I still wanted to go over. And maybe just me going too much into detail. I probably, in post editing, I probably would have cut some of those parts out. But anyway, oops. I wanted to upload this just to put that out there. I still want to make a review video, but I want to make one that I'm proud of, and that's why this one, it slowly became harder and harder to work on, because it just reminded me of a time where I was just in a bad position. So and I'm not even now I'm not in a great position. I don't want to get into that either, but things are gonna work out, and I don't even have a following on this YouTube. I don't know who I'm talking to, but I do, like I said, I do want to make a review video just for me and people who watch. I don't think many people watch, but I want to follow through with something. I've been in a weird state lately, and I want to do the things I say I'm going to do. And that's not only with reviewing, that's with school and a couple other things, you know. Little projects here and there that I've just kind of put on hold. I've been making a video game for like a year now that I haven't even touched in forever. But, you know, I'd like to hear some feedback on the little bit I had with this game. And I will choose a game that I want to review, and a game that I haven't played in a long time, maybe, or haven't played at all ever, maybe even. I'll have to figure that out later. But I'm getting better with editing, so that will probably happen a lot faster than what this happened with it. It, like I said, I was like halfway done maybe with this video, and it was like half a year that I've been working on it, but I put it on hold, and you know, now I'm trying to make a good like renaissance with myself and with stuff that I work on. So oh, this thing fell. Oh, I didn't even notice that. Oh, I'll have to fix that. I'll get better, and my video, and then my review will get better, and I'll put it out. I already have a few ideas. I kind of want to review a couple games. I really wanted to review Hurdy-Gurdy next, but that's a long game, so I thought maybe I could start with something small and get better from there. There's already a cover. I don't know why there's two of them. There's another cover on this already. But I thought maybe I'll start with this. It's just a bunch of mini games, you know, Namco Museum Volume 3, and I remember playing this as a kid. And I'll leave the rest I want to say about it for the video that I work on. So, you know, that's pretty funny. I gotta get funnier too. But yeah, there's a little bit of venting in this video. But I'll put out a good video for you guys. For me too. For both of us. That's my laundry. Thank you.